Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, November 6th, 2018, and this is the first meeting of the month for the City of Tempe Hearing Officer. My name is Vanessa McDonald, and I am the Hearing Officer for the city. Joined here this afternoon by members of the Community Development Department. To my left, Dalton Guerra. To my right, Brittany Nelson, Lee Jimenez, Blake Shimke, and Steve Abrahamson. I'm going to read something into the record really quick, and then we can go ahead and just jump right into our agenda this afternoon. The City of Tempe Hearing Officer is authorized by Arizona Revised Statutes and the City of Tempe Zoning and Development Code. The hearing officer has the duty to carry out both the provisions and the intent of the general plan and the Zoning and Development Code. The hearing officer is granted the authority to conduct public hearings to review and either approve, deny, continue, or approve with conditions any of the following applications: use permits, variances, and property abatements. On today's revised agenda, we have 10 items. We have a set of minutes, 4 property abatement requests, and 5 use permit requests. Agenda item number 2 has been withdrawn from the agenda as that property is now in compliance with the Tempe City Code. As the hearing officer, I review the City of Tempe Community Development Department report on the items being considered at this hearing. I use this report as part of my deliberations. Additionally, I drive by each of the sites on the agenda so that I can have a good understanding of the as-built conditions and the surrounding context for a proposed development. When your request is called, if you're here and you're other than the applicant or property owner, if you want to address the hearing officer, you can fill out a white speaker card in the back, hand it to a staff member. They in turn will give it to me, and I'll know that I have members of the public here wishing to speak on a case. And again, that's just if you're not the applicant or not the property owner. We just like to know who's here wanting to speak on different cases. Any person who's aggrieved by a decision of the hearing officer may file an appeal within 14 calendar days after the hearing officer has rendered a decision. As such, the deadline for appealing any decision rendered today is 3 p.m. on November 20th, 2018, and appeals of the decisions of the hearing officer are heard by either the Board of Adjustment or Development Review Commission, whichever body is appropriate to the type of request being heard. And in the case of a property abatement, the property owner also has 14 days to either file an appeal to the city or bring their property into compliance with the Tempe City Code. If neither of these things happen within this same 14-day deadline, November 20th, 2018, the property will then be abated by the city. So that takes care of the bookkeeping items. The first item on the agenda is this set of minutes for October 16th, 2018. I had a chance to review those minutes in my report, and I believe that they accurately reflect what took place at that hearing. So I'm going to go ahead and approve the minutes for October 16th, 2018. Agenda item number 2, as I mentioned before, has been withdrawn since that property is in compliance. So we're now on agenda item number 3. This is a request for abatement of public nuisance items at the Quintanilla property located at 1552 East Divot Drive, and the applicant is the City of Tempe. And I believe we have Ms. Nichols here.
Good evening. I'm Ashley Nichols, Code Inspector with the City of Tempe, and I'm here today requesting a 180-day open abatement for the property at 1552 East Divot Drive. The owner was sent notices, and when they didn't respond, they were also issued a citation to which they failed to appear on. So now I'm here asking for the 180-day abatement.
Thank you. I had a chance to drive by the property. I think it was late last week. Have the circumstances changed on the property since then? Did you drive by it recently?
I did drive by it today. There has been an improvement on the side gravel, but the front yard still needs some attention.
Okay, so maybe the property owner will, follow through and within the next couple of weeks. But if not, I agree with your assessment, by the way. It did need to be abated, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So is the is the property owner here this afternoon for the Quintanilla property located at 1552 East Divot? I don't see anyone here raising their hands, so I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment portion. Like I said before, I agree with your assessment of the property. I drove by it. It definitely needs to be abated. So I'm going to go ahead and approve your request for a 180-day open abatement for CE 182483. Thank you.
Thank you.
This brings us to agenda item number 4. This is a request for abatement of public nuisance items at the CVAC property located at 1969 East Palomino Drive. Mr. Schofield.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Jack Schofield, Code Inspector with the City of Tempe, here today requesting a 180-day open abatement for the property at 1969 East Palomino Drive to address the deteriorated pool in the rear yard. Notifications were mailed to the property and posted to the property due to the neighbors contacting me and advising me that the owner is deceased. I do not have any contact information for the next of kin. That's why everything was posted at the property.
Right.
Therefore, that's why I'm asking for the abatement.
Okay, thank you. I did not look into this backyard. I just typically draw the line at looking over fences, but I did read the staff report, and I understood that the property owner was deceased and that this pool needs to be taken care of. So I'm assuming, again, the owner is deceased, that there's no one here to speak on agenda item number 4. So I'm going to go ahead and approve your, you asked for 180 days?
Yes, ma'am. In case rainwater and stuff collects in the bottom, we can address it.
Okay, so I'll grant the 180-day abatement request for CE 185-249.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Agenda item number 5 is a request for abatement of nuisance items at the Menges property located at 1991 East Harvard Drive. Mr. Schofield.
Good afternoon again, ma'am. Jack Schofield, Code Inspector with the City of Tempe. Again, requesting a 180-day open abatement for the property at 1991 East Harvard Drive, this time to address deteriorated landscape in the front and rear yard. This property as well, I was told by the neighbor, the property owner is deceased with no contact information for the next of kin. Notices were posted on the property with no avail. That's why I'm asking for the 180-day open abatement.
Okay, and nothing's changed on the property since late last week?
No, ma'am. I was
Correct.
by there this morning and it was still in violation.
Okay, thank you. Is there a member of the public wanting, or the property owner wanting to speak for agenda item number 5? I don't see anyone here. I agree with your assessment, and therefore I'm going to grant you the 180-day open abatement request you're requesting for CE 185-412.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is a request for abatement of public nuisance items at the Hazelton property located at 1223 South Maple Avenue. Mr. Lara.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Andres Lara Reyes with the City of Tempe Code Compliance Division. I'm here to request an 180-day abatement of the property at 1223 South Maple Avenue, Tempe, Arizona, 55281. This property has been in violation since August 30th of this year for over high grass and weeds. A couple of notices were mailed to the owner. There was no response, and this property, we had abated for at least the last 5 years with no response from the owner.
Right.
It's a vacant property. So therefore, I do think we need to abate this property at this time.
Yeah, I recognize this property as being one of our frequent flyers, so to speak, on the code compliance.
At least twice a year, yeah.
Program, yeah.
Right.
So we've been doing this for a number of years.
Yes.
And, you know, I guess they're just using the city as a maintenance service at this point, because it goes, you know, it becomes deteriorated, we clean it up, and then put it on the property's tax roll. I did drive by it. I agree
Right.
with your assessment, and so
Yes.
I'm going to grant the 180 days you're requesting for CE 186070, the property at 1223 South Maple. Thank you.
Thank you.
This brings us to agenda item number 7. This application is a request for a use permit to allow live indoor entertainment for Spokes on Southern. This business is located at 1470 East Southern Avenue. Mr. Shimke.
Good evening, Hearing Officer McDonald, Blake Shimke, Planning Technician for the City of Tempe Planning Division. Spokes on Southern is proposing to add a live entertainment to their already existing restaurant. It is located north of East Southern Avenue and east of South Dorsey Lane in the PCC2 Planned Commercial Center General Zoning District. The applicant provided that the entertainment would be about 1 day a week and conducted indoors. They are proposing to have live music and occasional karaoke. The site has historically always been a restaurant, last of which was Sneakers Sports Grill, which also had a use permit for live entertainment. The hours of operation for the business are 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. daily, with the hours of the live entertainment conditioned to cease at 12 midnight Sunday through Thursday and 1:55 a.m. Friday through Saturday. To date, staff has received 1 email in support with a few questions and 1 call of inquiry. The email had listed some concerns on the hours of operation and possibility of it being a disturbance to the neighborhood and surrounding businesses, and the phone call was just a general inquiry. A security plan will be required for the proposed use, and based on the information provided by the applicant, public input received, and the analysis provided in the staff report, staff supports the request and believe the application meets the required criteria and will conform to the conditions provided in the staff report.
Thank you. And I just wanted to, for the record, note that you did give me this email in our pre-session, so I have read it. It's from a woman named Judy LaRose saying she's in favor of the live music, but she did have a couple of concerns. I won't read it verbatim, but she was the one who was concerned. She thought it was going to be outdoor music and therefore, you know, reaching out into the neighborhood. So I think, I'll see if she's here tonight, but I think her concerns will probably be addressed within the conditions of approval. Thank you. Is the property owner here this afternoon? Is anyone here from Spokes on Southern? Mr. Shimke?
Hearing Officer McDonald, seeing as the applicant is not here, I leave it to your discretion to make a decision or continue the case.
Well, I think historically what I've done is always continued it, because the fundamental question to an applicant is, have you read the staff report? Have you read the conditions of approval, and do you agree to abide by those conditions of approval? If there's no one here to ask, I can't assume that they've done so. So I think I'll continue it. In this case, it would go to the Development Review Commission, correct?
That is absolutely correct. There has been a change in processing for use permits. This is the last hearing officer meeting in which use permits will be heard. From this point forward, the decision-making body is the Tempe Development Review Commission. They meet on the 2nd and 3rd Tuesdays of the month. The next meeting of the Development Review Commission will be on Tuesday. Actually, the next meeting was scheduled for the 13th. That meeting has, there were no cases, so the next meeting is the 27th, and we'll make every effort to get this case advertised on that agenda, although at this point, I can't guarantee it.
Certainty, right. So the next available agenda.
My colleague brought a very good point up. Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. We can put this to the back of the agenda in the event that the applicant may appear before you.
Okay. Yeah, for this evening?
This evening before that decision is made to continue.
Okay, we can do that, and then if no one shows, it will be continued to.
Thank you,
Development
Hearing
Review
Officer
Commission.
McDonald. Much appreciated.
Thanks. So we're jumping forward to agenda item number 8. Agenda item number 8 is a request for 2 use permits to allow a Series 6 bar and entertainment for Tempe Southern Bar. This is located at 207 West Southern Avenue. It's in the Donnell Plaza Shopping Center. And Mr. Jimenez.
Good evening, Hearing Officer McDonald. My name is Lee Jimenez. I'm a senior planner with the Community Development Department in the Planning Division. Tempe Southern Bar is proposing to operate a bar and grill with live entertainment on Lot 13 of the Donnell Plaza commercial subdivision located south of West Southern Avenue between South Kyrene Road and South Mill Avenue in the CSS Commercial Shopping and Services District. The project will consist of a restaurant and a bar with an indoor stage for entertainment, acts such as bands, open mic, DJs, and other similar types of entertainment, including dancing. The hours of operation are proposed from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. daily. So far to date, 3 members of the neighborhood have contacted staff to indicate opposition to the use permit requests. 2 of the neighbors don't believe the plaza needs another bar, and 1 is concerned about the noise created by exiting traffic such as loud engines revving and street racing. Furthermore, 2 of the opponents expressed concern about the hearing taking place on Election Day and felt that this should be rescheduled to a more appropriate day. Here's the site plan of the lot, proposed floor plan, elevations, black line drawings, and some photographs, street view images of the subject site. Based on the information provided by the applicant and the analysis provided in the staff report, staff supports approval of the requested use permits and believes the request meets the required criteria and will conform to the recommended conditions of approval in the staff report.
What is the distance to the nearest residential property?
Good question. Next slide I have shows you 370 feet is from the corner of the southwest corner of this lot to the very northeast corner of the closest residential lot. Keep in mind that these the 2 closest lots facing that are along Kyrene do not have windows facing the east side. And then there's also railroad tracks dividing the plaza from this residential area.
Right, so there's Kyrene Road, and then the railroad tracks,
Kyrene
and then the
tracks,
existing
some buildings.
north-south run of that,
That's
of
right.
those buildings, and then this property.
So this building is 370 feet from this corner, and then these 2 lots don't have windows facing the plaza.
Okay, and the exits and entrances are on the opposite side.
Yes, so here's an entrance here, and then you can also access the site from Mill Avenue as well.
Right.
No driveway access from Kyrene.
Thank you. Those were the only questions. I did want to make note that you did give me the 2 emails, one from a Ms. Ephraim and the other from a Mr. Art Blinick, both in opposition, both taking note that it was on Election Day and they weren't thrilled with the date. But these dates are set well in advance, so there's really not much we can do about the date of the hearing. So thank you, Mr. Jimenez. Is the applicant here this afternoon? Sir, if you'd like to come up. And if you can state your name and city of residence.
Andrew Smith, Tempe, Arizona.
Thank you. You heard how Mr. Jimenez presented your case. Do you have anything else to add? And more importantly, have you read the staff report and the conditions of approval?
I have read the conditions and I believe we can meet them with no issues. I agree with the way he stated the case, and the issues that I overheard earlier with the drag racing and stuff is caused to the vacancies in the complex. And once you get businesses in there, then I believe that will settle that whole issue down. And also, I don't think noise will be an issue to any residences.
Okay. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. The best thing for a vacant plaza is to have people move into it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more eyes on the parking lot, on the surrounding streets, and it tends to be a good thing.
Yeah.
And keep criminal activity or anything like that
Yeah,
to a
most of the
minimum.
whole complex is vacant, so this is just a start to get it up and going again.
Sure. And also, I will note that to the emailer's point about we don't need another bar, we don't have a separation requirement in the city of Tempe, correct?
That is correct, Hearing Officer McDonald.
Thank you. So thank you, Mr. Smith. If you'd like to take a seat, is there any other member of the public wishing to speak on agenda item number 8 this evening? I don't see anyone. Oh, okay.
How are you?
Good. If you'd like to come forward, I will ask you to, before you leave, fill out the white card.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, just hand it to
I'm
a
actually
speaker.
I'm actually somewhat connected to this. I'm actually one of the owners of Yucca Tavern in that plaza.
Okay,
So,
so if you can state your name and city of residence.
Sean Downing, Tempe, Arizona.
Thank you.
There are things, I'm part of the council member to Danielle Plaza itself, and I'm also owner operator of Yucca Tap Room. So I spend a lot of time in this complex. As far as concerns, he stated very well that, the best way to run off any bad concerns is fill it full of people. We are actually working on a plan. I'm not sure if this is the department, but with Newtown and developments in the plaza, as well as redoing our parking lot to add in more speed bumps and things like that. I'll be working with Andrew directly to help him with the security plan, as well as the operation of the bar. So on the more the merrier. I'm, at least on Danielle's plazas, and I can speak for Greg, which is the owner of Q and Brew, which he's aware that we're wanting to do this as well, and he's all on board.
Okay.
So that's pretty much it.
I think sometimes competitors don't, they want to keep people out.
And you're right. In fact, like when spokes came up, I'm like, but then I'm like, well, they're far enough away and different clientele. But in fact, the people who are working with this are frequent visitors of my bar. The person who is the partnering as well actually has done a lot of music with me at my bar. So to me, it's just, if anything, it's just, friends and friends alike,
Right.
make
Kind
it a
of creates a
destination.
synergy of uses. So, okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, not a problem.
And turn in your white speaker card.
All right, sorry. And then that's all you need, right? Yes. Oh, perfect.
So any other member of the public wishing to speak on agenda item number 8? I don't see anyone, so I'm going to close the public portion of the hearing. I'm going to quickly go through the use permit criteria as I'm required to do. I don't believe that granting this use permit will create a significant increase in vehicular or pedestrian traffic. I don't believe it'll create a nuisance arising from the emission of odor, dust, gas, noise, vibration, smoke, heat, or glare at a level exceeding ambient conditions. And that's always the key phrase, because there is noise on Mill Avenue, there is noise on Southern, but I don't think that this use will contribute excessively to that noise. I don't believe it'll contribute to the deterioration of the neighborhood or downgrade property values. In fact, I think it's a good thing when a vacant retail storefront can be absorbed and develop into a new business. It's compatible with existing surrounding structures and uses. As you pointed out, you welcome another bar, another restaurant, and I believe that you'll work with the city to have adequate control of behavior both inside and outside the premises. So I'm going to go ahead and approve the use permits for Tempe Southern Bar contained in PL 180273. Thank you and good luck to you. We are now on agenda item number 9. This is a request for a use permit standard to reduce the required south side yard setback of a 14-foot, 9-inch tall detached garage, taking it from 9 feet off, the requirement to be 9 feet off the property to 5 feet for the Byler residence. Yep, where'd it go? Located at 2743 South Rita Lane. Mr. Guerra.
Good evening, Hearing Officer McDonald. My name is Dalton Guerra, Planner 1, the City of Tempe Planning Division. The Byler residence is located on Lot 33 of the Tempe Royal Palms Unit 1 subdivision, east of South Rural Road and north of East Southern Avenue. The applicant is requesting a use permit standard to reduce the required side yard setback for a detached garage from 9 feet to 5 feet. The garage is 14 feet, 9 inches tall. To date, staff has not received any public input. Here's a site plan of where the proposed garage is going. So you can see to the south, that side yard setback is what we're concerned with, not the side to the east.
Correct. And even then, it's not like the whole building is running the length of that.
Right. It is
Setback.
just that small corner there. Here's some building elevations that the applicant provided. So you can see that it is 14 feet, 9 inches tall.
Okay.
And based on the information provided by the applicant and the analysis provided in the staff report, staff supports this request and believes that the application meets the required criteria and will conform to the conditions provided in the staff report.
And there are 5 conditions in the staff report, correct? For building permits, building plans, licenses?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. No, I understand this application. It's pretty straightforward. Is the property owner here this afternoon? Sir, if you'd like to come forward. And if you can state your name and city of residence.
I'm Craig Byler, and I'm in Tempe, Arizona.
Thank you. Do you have anything to add to how Mr. Guerra presented your case?
He presented it well.
Thank you. It is pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot involved. But I do need to ask you if you read and understand the conditions of approval in the staff report and agree to those conditions.
Yeah, I believe I do understand them, and I agree.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
That's all I have for you.
Thank you.
If you want to take a seat, is there any member of the public wishing to speak on agenda item number 9? I don't see anyone, so oddly enough, the criteria for a use permit standard to allow for a deviation in a setback is the same for an overall use permit. So I'm going to go ahead and read those criteria, even though some of them won't seem very applicable. I don't believe this will create a significant increase in vehicular or pedestrian traffic, nor will it create a nuisance arising from the emission of odor, dust, gas, noise, vibration, smoke, heat, or glare. I don't believe it'll contribute to the deterioration of the neighborhood or downgrade property values. In fact, it's likely to do the contrary. You're making a significant investment in your property and in the neighborhood. It's compatible with surrounding structures and uses, and I believe you'll have control of behavior both inside and outside the premises. Therefore, I'm approving your use permit standard to allow you to reduce the setback from 9 feet to 5 feet. Good luck to you. We are now at agenda item number 10. This is a request for a use permit to allow an amusement business, more specifically an escape room, for Dynamic Escape Rooms located at 1797 West University Drive, Suite 168. Mr. Guerra.
Hello again, Dalton Guerra, City of Tempe Planning Division. The Dynamic Escape Rooms is proposing to operate at 1797 West University Drive, Suite 168, within the GID General Industrial District. For those of you who don't know, an escape room is an amusement business that challenges customers to solve puzzles and clues to open doors in different rooms. There will be 2 to 4 employees on hand at any given time and 0 to 24 customers depending on reservations. Hours of operation are Monday through Thursday, 12 p.m. to 10 p.m., Fridays from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m., Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 a.m., and Sunday 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. To date, staff has not received any public input. Here's a site plan. The suite is in the southernmost building. There's the floor plan and some site photos of the suite that they'll be moving into. Based on the information provided by the applicant and the analysis provided in the staff report, staff supports this request and believes that the application meets the required criteria and will conform to the conditions provided in the staff report.
Thank you. We've seen a number of these in probably the past, 7 or 8 months. So I have a good understanding of how they operate. It's all literally in the business. That's the whole point. They're trying to get out. So I don't have any questions of you at this point. Is the applicant here this afternoon? Sir, if you'd like to come forward. And if you can state your name and city of residence?
Yeah, Ernest Zamora, Phoenix, Arizona.
Thank you. You were given a copy of the staff report and the conditions of approval?
Yes.
And do you agree that you can meet and abide by those conditions of approval? You do,
Yes.
okay. Thank you. Anything more to add to
No,
how
so-
Mr.?
No.
No?
Thank you,
Okay.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there any member of the public wanting to speak on agenda item number 10 this afternoon? I don't see anyone. Again, I'm going to go through the use permit criteria quickly. I don't believe this will create a significant increase in vehicular or pedestrian traffic. It won't create a nuisance arising from the emission of odor, dust, gas, noise, vibration, smoke, heat, or glare. I don't believe it'll contribute to the deterioration of the neighborhood or downgrade property values. I believe it's compatible with existing surrounding structures and uses, and that you'll have control of behavior both inside and outside the premises. Therefore, I'm approving the use permit contained in application PL 180284. Thank you and good luck to you. We are now at agenda item number 11. This is a request for a use permit to allow vehicle sales in the General Industrial Zoning District, or the GID. This is for LC Classics, located at 7965 South Priest Drive. Mr. Shimke.
Good evening again, hearing officer. My name is Blake. I'm planning technician for the City of Tempe Planning Division. LC Classics is requesting a use permit to allow vehicle sales in the GID, General Industrial District. And LC Classics is located east of South Priest Drive and south of West Elliott Road. LC Classics is a luxury car company, classic car company, excuse me, which will store and display classic cars and occasionally have a few sales a year. The applicant and owner anticipate no more than 10 sales a year. The owner will be the only staff member within the company, and the hours of operation will be daily 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. However, they have indicated that it will more or less be by appointment, considering the low number of vehicle sales. To date, staff has not received any public input, and based on the information provided by the applicant and the analysis provided in the staff report, staff supports the request and believes that the application meets the required criteria and will conform to the conditions provided in the staff report. So here's a site area map. Kind of just a site map of the area, and then suite map.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions of staff. The applicant's here. Mr. Hulemantel, good to see you.
Good to see you as well. We have reviewed
State
the
your name
report.
and
Charles
city of-
Humantel for the record.
Thank you.
Sorry. We have seen the report, and we agree with the conditions of approval. It's obviously, this is in the auto park. I'm happy to go through all the reasons, but staff has already provided a thorough presentation.
No, it's just a curiosity how someone who states they're only going to sell 10 cars a year
Sure.
is going to make it.
I'm happy to answer that. So, although this is the auto park, it's not really the business it sounds like it might be. Mr. LeCan, who's here with me today, moving chairs. He's, I guess, practicing for the escape room, which has now been granted the use permit. And maybe that's even where Spokes was. I thought maybe that's why they were delayed. They may have been in the escape room. So Mr. LeCan does a number of different things, but mostly he's retired and collects and restores classic cars. Occasionally, he buys cars and auctions them. For example, if you'd gone to Barrett-Jackson last year, there was a restored Jeep. And that was something that Mr. LeCan purchased, restored, and donated to the charity. To do that, he needs to have a state license to sell automobiles. To do that, he has to have a sign on the wall.
Right.
To do that, he has to have a use permit to sell vehicles. And so it's an awful lot of bureaucratic process for what really amounts to several unconnected acts of kindness on Al's behalf. He does also, I think, enjoy the process of restoring the cars and spending time with them. But that's really why. And if it were just an endeavor to sell vehicles, it probably wouldn't be profitable.
Right. So the sales is ancillary to the storage and display.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. I don't think I have any other questions. understand and agree to the conditions of approval. Is there anyone here this afternoon wanting to speak on agenda item number 11? I don't see anyone. You can go ahead and take a seat. I'm going to go through, as I have in previous cases, the use permit criteria. I don't believe this will create a significant increase in vehicular or pedestrian traffic, nor will it create a nuisance arising from the emission of odor, dust, gas, noise, vibration, smoke, heat, or glare. I don't believe it'll contribute to the deterioration of the neighborhood or downgrade property values. It's compatible clearly with existing structures and uses, and it sounds like you'll have control of behavior both inside and outside the premises. So I'm approving the use permit to allow vehicle sales in the GID for PL 180287. Thank you and good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
So we are going back to agenda item number 7, Spokes on Southern. Has our applicant showed up? Thank you. If you'd like to come to the podium, this is going to be very brief because your case has already been presented.
All right.
What?
I didn't know whether it was going to be re-presented.
No, I was going to say,
We're good.
Mr. Shimke went through the details of the case, did a fine job doing so, explained everything about the use. What I always need to hear and why we need to have applicants here is if you've read the staff report and the conditions of approval, and if you agree to those conditions contained within the staff report.
I have read it, and yes, we agree to that.
Thank you. I'm so
Absolutely.
glad you showed up.
Yeah, I apologize for being late.
That's okay, because otherwise I was going to have to continue it, and it was going to be, a few
Whole
weeks.
mess, yeah. No, I appreciate you guys putting it to the end for
Sure.
me.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we were able to do that. So that's the only question I have for you. So if you want to take a seat.
All right.
I don't think, ma'am, are you here to speak on agenda item number 7? No? Okay, you can go ahead and take a seat. So we've received a staff presentation. The applicant's been here, agrees to the conditions of approval. So now I'm just going to go through the use permit criteria. I don't believe that this use permit will create a significant increase in vehicular or pedestrian traffic. I don't believe it'll create a nuisance arising from the emission of odor, dust, gas, noise, vibration, smoke, heat, or glare. I don't believe it'll contribute to the deterioration of the neighborhood or downgrade property values. It's compatible with existing surrounding structures and uses. There's already been, a prior establishment does the same thing that you do. And I think you'll have adequate control of behavior both inside and outside the premises. So I'm approving the use permit contained in PL 180229 for the property located at 1470 East Southern Avenue. Thank you and good luck to you, and I'm glad you were able to make it. That concludes our agenda for this afternoon. Did you want to restate what you said earlier about the composition of the use permit, or I'm sorry, hearing officer changing?
Thank you, Hearing Officer McDonald. Yes, I would. I appreciate the opportunity. Beginning at the next hearing, which will be Tuesday, the 20th of November, the scope and focus of the hearing officer will change. All use permits will be heard by a different decision-making body, that being the Development Review Commission. Variances will now be heard by the Board of Adjustment. That changes the hearing officer's focus to hearing abatements only. As I stated, the next meeting on the 20th will be the first of those hearings, and I want to thank you for all of your help and support through all of the many, many use permits and variances that you've heard in the past. But there's a new chapter to the book starting in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Quick question. 5 o'clock, we're no longer doing the pre-session.
No more study sessions at
No
5
more.
o'clock, or rather at 4:30. We're going to continue having the hearing officer at 5 o'clock. There has been some discussion of changing the actual time of the hearing officer, not the dates, but the time. But there's been no decision rendered at this point.
Okay, in this chamber?
In this chamber, thank you. In the city council chambers, 31 East Fifth Street in the garden level of City Hall.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Hearing Officer McDonald.
So that concludes agenda and announcements, so we're adjourned.